Today we're going to be going over my most recommended build, and no, it's not this one. By most recommended, I quite simply mean frequency of the amount of times I find myself suggesting this build. It's a pretty simple build. It is just 4-piece strikers, 2-piece spellstone, and the reason for this is pretty damn simple. It offers very good damage for both solo and group play, including scaling, as well as offers a good chunk of survivability. Now, depending on what weapon you want to use, you can sort of mix and match, and also depending on how you want to play, there are a few customizational options for it. However, the base standard of what I would suggest is just quite simply 4-piece strikers with critical hit damage rolls, 2-piece spellstone with crit chance crit damage, and then 3 critical hit chance mods. We're going to put all critical hit chance mods in the Dod-Foamath along with preservation as the weapon talent. The chest talent obliterate. This is the sort of standard, however you'd be surprised the amount of customizations you can do with this. Now, just to quickly explain the background footage, this is a fresh out of Wony character. I have put 1 point in the watch because the game forces you to, which is 0.1% weapon damage. Other than that, this character is essentially SHD 0, despite what the top right actually says. I am effectively SHD 0, and I'm farming for this build on normal, and then with limited to basically no recalibrations, we're going to see how far we can potentially take this build, just to demonstrate. Now, obviously, this part of the recording is sped up, however, the total time of just this part, the sped up part, is 34 minutes 33 seconds. Now, spoiler alert, I get to challenging, which means I went from fresh out of Wony with a brand new character to challenging in just over 30 minutes. So hopefully, if you're new or a returning player, not quite sure what to do or how to build, this will help you out. Now, due to damage scaling, as well as the fact that early on you don't have a lot of crit chance, I do recommend an SMG. As soon as you've got 2 blues on you, that's basically all you need to be able to tank a hell of a lot of damage. 2 blues, especially if it's 2 Bellstone, run Gunner as well and start working into the armor on kill. That's 10% armor on kill at max from Gunner. You get another 10% from 2-piece Bellstone along with 1% armor regen. This is more than enough survivability for anything from normal to challenging. Easily more. We're then going to get an SMG, which hopefully if you can get a decent roll, you're looking at about 15 to 20. At max is 21% crit chance with a few decent mod attachments to it and hopefully at least a few crit rolls. There's not really many reasons as to why you shouldn't be able to at least push 50% crit chance, which is essentially where you want to be hanging out. After that, we're going to be trying to focus on 2 weapons. One's an AR, one is an SMG. You ideally want the ones with the fastest fire rate that you can get hold of. You're going to get a lot of talk about the Vector and the Dod-Foamath. These are ideal. Vector has 1200 RPM, Dod-Foamath has 900. However, we're not really going to pay too much attention to any of the other attributes. The main thing we're going to care about now is just trying to push your progressions so you can get a more stable and worthwhile farm. The thing we want to worry about is the talent, which I'm going to recommend preservation. This means that you're going to then get 30% armor on kill, or if you get a headshot, 40%. Now, as you can see, this is kind of the build that I will be running. 2 purple pieces, Bellstone, 4-piece strikers, and we're just going to test this out on Lincoln Memorial normal. As previously stated, we have a good few customizations that we can utilize with this build. The first one is going to be what specialization you wish to run. I'm recommending Gunner just because of the armor on kill. In solo, Gunner is perfectly fine. I myself even run MMR builds with Gunner in solo just because of that 10% armor on kill. That's basically it. However, in group play, Gunner's not really worth it in any way, shape or form. I will have to do a deep dive at some point going over the specializations. Technician is possibly going to be a very powerful bet. One, your shield, as this would work very well with shield, this build overall, is going to go from skill tier 2 to skill tier 3. It also allows you to utilize the link laser pointer, which then would allow you to chop and change your chest talent or the talent on the weapon. Firewall here for maximum DPS is going to be the best option. For DPS, Firewall is the best specialization. It gives you a very, very powerful shield. It does give you a little bit of CC just in case your armor does break, because it will set the enemy that broke your armor on fire, as well as it offers a good amount of health on kill, just to help balance out the health and armor, depending on environmental hazards or anything else that's going on. After that, we can look at going to full red, or vice versa, full blue. However, these are going to require unicorn pieces, more so going full red, just because we're going to be looking at a non-striker's chest. We're looking at Bellstone, so in order to get Bellstone to be full red, you will need it to drop with 1, the chest talent that you want, 2, crit chance, crit damage. This allows you to change your core, your blue armored core, to red weapon damage. After that, the actual chest talent itself, I'm recommending Obliterate just because the way in which Strikers works, you can go headshot if you're comfortable. Wouldn't recommend though, it's more of a speedrunner strat. For chest talent, Obliterate is going to be the best option because it just pairs very beautifully with crits. After that we have Spotter, though I feel if you're going to go Spotter, you kind of need to go Technician. You don't have to, but it's the best workaround essentially. If you need more survivability, you can go Unbreakable. And if you want to go maximum DPS for this style of setup, you can go Focus. There is also an option for Vanguard, however, question mark, simply just because Vanguard in solo, all you get is the invulnerable shield for, I think, 5 seconds. Only in team play, and it doesn't apply to you, that bonus armor part of it, will that apply to your teammates. So depending on how you want to build, be a bit more tanky, you can be kind of like a weird pseudo support for your team, offering bonus armor, but that's really about it. Right, we're now going to move on to weapon talents, and this is pretty simple. We're going to cut them down to utility and damage. For utility, I have Preservation, which I'm going to recommend early on just for the armor on kill. Future Perfect, which adds skill tiers per kill up to a stack of 3, which can be very handy for extra tanking or depending on what your second skill is. Again, I recommend a shield. And after that, we have Fast Hands. Cue the speedrunning community, Fast Hands is a damage talent. Fast Hands isn't, it's a utility / DPS talent. All Fast Hands does is per crit, you get percentage of reload up to, I think, 30%. So you can get some epic reload out of it. This will increase your sustained DPS as well as help when acquiring a new target. After this, we have damage talents, which I'm going to recommend Strained. If we're going to go base crit build, Strained is the best talent. After that, Optimist. Optimist is a bit easier to use, where Strained, if you stop firing for half a second, Strained stacks just disappear. You have to start again, and depending if you reload or not, you may or may not be able to hit full stack. Optimist doesn't matter. You fire, it starts stacking. If you stop firing, the stacks remain until you either reload, in which case it refreshes, or you continue firing, in which case the stacks just continue from where you left off up to the max. Then there's Flatline, which is arguably the best DPS talent. However, you can put it on every single weapon. It will work on every single weapon. However, it can get a bit twitchy depending on what weapon you put it on. Just for example, the FAMAS, arguably the best AR, you cannot put the Technician's Link laser pointer on, which means you're going to be forced to either use the Scanner Pulse as your second skill, or if you're running or decide to run for some strange reason Sharpshooter, there is a scanner drone on the Sharpshooter that you can use. That's like your only options. Or you take a step back, go to the Police M4, which is the next best AR that you can actually put the Link laser pointer on, and ta-da, you can now magically use Flatline just by aiming at something. Right, just going back to the actual footage, we are now on hard. This is going to be the last enemy that we kill on this. We're just trying to get to this boss, just so that we can see if we can comfortably clear the next area or next stage. So now we're going to be resetting the mission. I haven't changed build. Obviously I changed a lot during the early start where everything was sped up, but since coming to Lincoln Memorial, this has been the exact same build throughout. The roles are pretty meh, as you can hopefully see, and we're now going to be pushing in on challenging. There we are, it's just swapped to challenging those 3 chevrons. So in just over 30 minutes, I've been able to conjure up a build. I think I recalibrated something once, which was the SMG I'm using. I put preservation on. Other than that, I have not cared about my rolls. Basically, all of my crit chance comes from the SMG itself, and I am running a shield with the medic healer drone thing. Ideally, that medic healer drone thing might not be a good idea. There are other options we could use here that would be of more benefit, though that is going to be 100% down to you. I am a Revive Hive main by trade, tempted to get it tattooed on me at this point, so I am a fan of the Revive Hive, not so much because game difficult, but more so because game unstable. There is that problem. So we've cleared the first area pretty easily. It's going to open the gate and then move into the next area, and hopefully where this area is a little bit busier, it will still hold up. There's also one named Elite who is also a Chunga. This could potentially go to Heroic already, though I'm not going to recommend it without a few more optimizations, well, recalibrations ideally. We're still rocking just under 40% crit chance with this current setup. I have 0 mods in. I didn't want to start using maxed out mod rolls because it's going to be very unfair to demonstrate that, especially with new players or returning players if you might be. However, that being said, this isn't just a new player build. This is actually something I recommend to quite a lot of higher level players, as well as those that have a little bit more experience. It's just a very comfortable build that is able to easily clear content. I am also currently working on a video to show this build at max. I've done a few legendary runs with it. I am trying to see if I can get some decent footage of a slightly more comfortable, less painful looking legendary run, as so far they're not going as I had hoped. However, for clearing heroic content, it works amazingly well, like amazingly well. It's got absolutely brilliant survivability, and it can do some absolutely useful damage. It's not the top damage, it's not the best damage, but it is damage to a point of where it is able to at least compete and clear content, which is what we're after. Anyway, that is just about going to bring this video to a close. Hopefully this has given you some potential ideas, as well as to also show how one build can be changed in so many ways. Like if I wanted to do a video for each individual combination from just this one build, I could have made 117 different videos from this one thing. That's how many combinations there are of what you can do that are potentially going to help benefit you as a player, or at least friends. Anyway, have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.